Presidente has confirmed plans to run as Vice President in next year's elections.
Sige, tatakbo ako ng Vice Presidente. Then I will continue the crusade. I'm worried about the drugs, insurgency. Well, number one is insurgency, then criminality, drugs. I may not have the power to give the direction or guidance, but I can always express my views in public for whatever it may be worth in the coming days.
Supposed discord within PDP-Laban and supposedly between the president and his daughter, these are all adding to the texture of the political posturings heading into 2022. All of this is also raising a lot of questions, one of which is this all deception? Is this all just smokescreen heading to the elections we discuss in this episode of The Chiefs? Welcome to this special edition of The Chiefs. I'm Robbie Alampay. Also with us are Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star and Ed Lingao of One News. Chiefs, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Ami,
Happy
ano bang balita?
Magulo balita, pa iba-iba, every hour, nagbabago. From yesterday to kaninang madaling araw hanggang ngayon.
Kaya linawin lang natin na hindi COVID ang pinag-uusapan mo.
Hindi, politika yan, politika.
well, that means things are normal.
Normal.
Well, sa COVID, baka daw sabi ng Okta, umabot tayo ng 2 million cases by the end of the month.
By the end of the month.
It's not a very good Wednesday,
Talaga nakakaano. I mean, that's we might as well get to our first guest. Ready na ba? Let's bring in our first guest today. Because we're going to talk to Dr. Jonas Del Rosario, spokesperson, as everybody knows, of the Philippine General Hospital. Doc Jonas, welcome again to the big story, to the Chiefs, sorry.
Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Doc.
Good evening, Ami, Ed, and Robbie. Thank you for having me.
No, Doc, and of course, a lot of people want to hear from you. Kasi nakita naman nila yung lumabas na announcement ng PGH. Siyempre, nakita lang nila na you're putting a limit to walk-ins. Paki-clarify lang, what is there for people to understand about that, what was going around?
Yes, nagkaroon nga ng advisory kahapon na we will not be accepting walk-ins muna dun sa ER, no? It was brought about by yung aming talagang we exceeded our full capacity sa COVID, no? Initially, we had 250 beds and then we increased it to 280 and eventually we decided to increase it further to 300 beds. As we looked into the really increasing number of admissions. And then finally we said, okay, let's put a cap, 320 beds. No? And yesterday, we registered 325 COVID patients admitted to PGH, not counting maybe another 30 patients in the emergency room who needed to be admitted inside the hospital. No? So they're in the ER. So ang situation po, the ER was full, our ICUs are full, our COVID charity and pay wards are full. So we said, okay, and then on top of that, we are feeling this, the problem of parang we're really spreading ourselves so thinly, yung aming manpower po ay hindi na kaya. Yun ang isang napakalaking limitasyon. Dahil as you admit more severe or critically ill patients, you need more nurses, you need more doctors, you need more intensivists, no? Nararamdaman na naman po namin yan. And then lastly, we could not provide any more high-flow oxygen machines and ventilators, no? So some will be coming into the emergency room and unfortunately, even if they need a ventilator, they have to wait. They have to wait until we provide another one. So ang hirap po ng situation. So we decided, okay, let's declare timeout. Hindi mo na pwede yung walk-ins and the only ones we will be allowing to come to PGH are those who are coordinated. No? So coming from, let's say, hospitals, tinawag sa amin, nagkaintindihan na tayo. Kasi po, we were getting a lot of walk-ins at yun yung minsan problema because some of them are really critically ill and we could not provide for them.
Doc, quick clarification lang. When you say tigil muna yung walk-in, is this specific to COVID-related walk-ins or yung lahat ng walk-ins sa ER?
Well, we will not be refusing non-COVID patients na merong life and limb threatening. No? For example, na-stroke o inatake sa puso, trauma, vehicular accident, pumunta sa ER ng PGH. Gagamutin po namin yan. So it's more to yung mga COVID sa ngayon dahil yung aming COVID capacity ay na-exceed namin. No? But we're hoping this is just temporary because it's very dynamic naman. No? As we discharge patients, as some patients recover, luluwag na naman, and as we move our patients from the ER to the wards, makaka-admit po kami ulit. So, maybe within the next few days, no? Actually, just before we started the program, I look at the census. From 325, we're down to 305, parang ganyan. So, 20 patients ang nabawa. So, maybe there was some effect na hindi muna kami tumanggap ngayong araw na to ng direct ER admissions.
Pero paano yung kasi ang typical na stay ng COVID patient is about at least a week, di ba? Saka kahit sa ER, mga siguro 3 days yan. Kung from intubation, taka monitoring, di ba, mga 3 days. Paano yun? Matatagalan yan if you're implementing a stepping down program, di ba?
Yes.
Paano yung ano niyan, yung turnover ng pasyente niyan? Gaano katagal yan bago kayo makapagluwag-luwag kaya?
Yeah, so it really depends on the severity of the patients. Tama ka, so the more severe the patients are, the longer that they will be in the hospital, no? So ang ginagawa po namin ngayon, we are really coordinating with some other hospitals to accept some of our patients who are almost recovered or just moderate at doon na po sila magpapagaling para yung mga ibang severe ay maipasok na namin, no? So kailangan namin ng kapartner dyan. Actually, a couple of days ago, Tala Hospital was very helpful. And they took some of our patients in the emergency room, hindi pa na-admit. And then also, they were willing to take some of our recovering patients also. No? And then we're also trying to talk to some of the local government hospitals or yung quarantine facilities na baka pwede namin yung last part ng treatment in the last 5 days na nakaka-recover na, baka pwede na sa kanila.
So may lugar pa pala sa Metro Manila kasi yung, I think, Pasay ba yun or one of the hospitals nagsara na rin ng COVID, COVID ward, saka even St. Luke's nag-issue na rin ng issue.
Alam mo, may mga you have to constantly call kasi nga very fluid, no? Kaka-opening, a few beds here and there, yeah, you take advantage of that, no? So, kunyari, sa Tala, during 3 days ago, merong opening, inalaw kami, nag-open up sila. Sa San Lazaro, may ilang opening. So we are constantly communicating with some of the hospitals around PGH also.
You're going to have to do that by yourself? Ang question ko lang is the one hospital command center, how is that going so far?
Well, we actually advise our patients who are waiting to be transferred to PGH, lalo na if we tell them, you look, right now, to be honest, the wait list for private patients in PGH probably easily about 50, and then sa charity, mga 80. So you're like waitlisted, number 80 ka, number 81. Parang, what's the chance of you getting in the next 48 hours when you are getting short of breath, hindi ba? So we tell them to also call one hospital command. At may mga iba po na pe-place ng one hospital command because they have a wider network, no? Kami naman, we have our own local transfer command center. We also try to look for hospitals which can accept these patients.
Pero Doc, kung may nape-place naman through the one hospital command center, is PGH microcosm or barometer for the entire hospital ecosystem in Metro Manila or not necessarily?
Probably we are, That's how it is, no? Kasi parang it's just a reflection of how the hospitals are really the occupancy rate of the. Kasi nung maluwag-luwag, madali rin kami maka-admit at konti lang yung aming wait list. And when our pag alam mo nang may surge, kita mo talaga yan, ang haba kagad. I think a lot of people would like to come to PGH, especially those who cannot pay. And then, yun namang mga private patients, they have no more choice dahil puno na yung mga St. Luke's and Makati Med and Medical City. So, nakukuha namin yung iba na yan na private hospitals. Pag wala nang surge, most of our patients who are the paying patients would go to these bigger hospitals, and we will cater again back to the usual that we cater to our service patients.
Doc, if I understand you right, you're only accepting right now coordinated transferees from other hospitals. But at the same time, you're saying that may mahabang wait list for private patients, 50, for wards, 80. So what kind exactly of transferees are you considering to allow into PGH?
Ang madaling, sometimes we have rooms, kasi may dalawang klaseng rooms. May isang room na will not need oxygen, no? So these are the mild and moderates na yan, madali yan. May mga ganyan kaming ilan na pwedeng monitoring lang because there are patients like that, no? They're moderate. But once the patient needs high flow oxygen or ventilator, dun kami medyo kailangan talagang napag-usapan because they cannot just come into PJ tas wala pala kaming mapoprovide na ganon. And so that's where coordination really is very important. We try to talk to the hospitals, stratify the patients, see their severity, their needs, no? And if we can admit them, then why not, no? And then
ano yung common reaction ng mga taong gusto niyong ipalipat? Kasi we all know na itong COVID pwede kang mag-umpisa ng kahit asymptomatic, actually bigla-bigla na lang, lalala kang bigla, and in 3 days you're dead. Di ba? Alam na yun ng mga tao Pumapayag ba sila? Is it easy to persuade them na pwede ba doon muna kayo sa ibang hospital?
Mahirap din, no? Una, ganito ang mentality. Why are you going to transfer us when we only need a few more days? Pagaling na kami. Kunyari, they ate already and they need like another 4 or 5 days na lang. No?
To clear protocol.
Parang ang hirap din kasi sasabihin nila, pagaling na kami. On the other hand, those 4 or 5 days that they are occupying a room na hindi na sila naka-oxygen, parang ano na lang, that's really cruise control, no? That, in the meantime, there are patients there in the emergency room who really needed a bed, who needed that oxygen port in the room, who needed the high flow machine that can be used in that room. So, yun po ang nagiging so we had to really, to a point right now that when they get admitted, we ask them to sign a consent that they will not object if we, based on our assessment, siyempre talagang doktor pa rin ang mag-a-assess niyan. If we feel like they're already very stable, that they can go to a step-down hospital or facility to give way to other patients who badly need to be admitted, then yun po ang condition ngayon na ginawa namin sa PGH.
Dr. Jonas, if you are representative and if you do represent a snapshot of what's going on elsewhere, does that, yung experience nyo sa oxygen, is that also, you think, representative of what other hospitals might be going through now?
Well, that's what we hear from other hospitals also. Kulang ng high flow machine, kulang ng ubos na yung ventilator. I remember when there was a surge in sometime in a few months ago in the Western Visayas region. I think it was in Iloilo or Bacolod. At noong time na yan, tahimik sa Metro Manila. They were really asking for high flow machines and na kung pwede pahiram muna, no? And that's what happens during the surge, really. And I think even in the other hospitals, the bigger hospitals, when they say they are full, it only means their oxygen supply in a way is limited already. It has been used up, no? Kasi yung oxygen really is the most important commodity in an ICU setup in COVID, no? Either delivering it through just a regular nasal cannula, but most of the time, those who are severe to critically ill will either have it through a high-flow oxygen machine or a ventilator, no? And people were asking, hindi mo ba kayo nag-prepare yung PGH, no? They were asking us. We actually augmented our supply, no? We targeted, the highest number we had before in the previous two surges was 240. And now we have reached 325. So that's almost like 100 more patients. And so a lot of these patients now really are severe. And so we felt that medyo kinapos na rin. The other thing also is we were also taking care of non-COVID patients, and even if we tell them that we will be primarily a COVID referral center, hindi mo rin matatanggihan pag nandyan ay mga non-COVID patients who come to your door at they're also severely ill, then you have to give them a ventilator, you have to provide them a high-flow oxygen. So nababawasan pa yon, no, na bibigay din sa iba.
Kung overflowing na kayo sa bed capacity, syempre yung personal din nyo nagkukulang naman. Kumusta naman yung mga pangangailangan niya personal-wise? Are you getting enough nurses, yung mga doctors nyo, kumusta na po sila?
Actually, yan pa nga yung isang reason kung bakit humingi rin kami nagsabas din kami ng advisory ganon, because actually yung aming mga tao, no, nurses, residents, fellows, consultants, they were basically asking for parang to slow down kasi pagod na rin, no? May mga nagkakasakit, so they have to be isolated, so they will be at least 7 days to 10 days. And then there are those who are exposed, and it's a high-risk exposure, for example, so they have to be quarantined for, let's say, a week. So yung gano'n na mga missed days, nakakapilay ng workforce. And so eventually, you'll see na less and less people are able to come to work. And so now you put the safety of the patients becomes an issue. Because syempre pag COVID, kailangan mong tutukan yan, no? Kailangan ira-rounds mo yan araw-araw, especially those who are severe or critically ill. Iba ang ratio ng nurse to a patient. So nararamdaman din namin yan. So it's both the shortage of our manpower now and our oxygen supply, if you want to think about it. That made us say, okay, we're really full. We have exceeded our capacity. We're hanggang 320 na lang muna tayo. We felt like if we did not at least put out this advisory, baka tumuloy-tumuloy lang at magkakaproblema talaga.
Doc, kamusta yung yung special risk allowances sa mga tao ninyo? Have they been getting it?
Yeah, we have given the SRAs of our employees, lahat nung nakuha na nabigay na namin, no? Both from the Bayanihan 1 and 2, especially those who are working in the COVID wards, no? We made sure na makuha nila.
Mm-hmm. But sir, at the same time, kasi there's been some discussion by some health groups as to whether or not the SRA or the risk allowance should be limited only to those health workers who are directly attending to COVID patients, or whether they should be including other health workers as well, to varying degrees, or maybe to all. I don't know. Your thoughts, po?
Well, we knew that, and what we did was we also made an appeal to also give benefits to our healthcare workers who are not strictly in the COVID wards, but in reality, they're also exposed to COVID patients because every now and then there will be patients who you thought were non-COVID and they were in the non-COVID ward, biglang positive pala. So this, basically everybody is exposed. No, although siguro mas exposed lang directly yung mga nasa COVID, but if we realize that if you are in a COVID referral center like PGH, you're at risk to see patients even in the non-COVID areas of the hospital. Kaya parang naisip namin, let's push for all of our healthcare workers to get some degree of the hazard pay.
But are you looking at equal degree of hazard pay or graduated? Kasi, di ba, baka naman dehado rin yung mga talagang nakasubsob dun sa COVID wards versus yung mga talagang bibihira o hindi nagpupunta ng COVID wards.
Meron pa ding special, parang pag tinignan mo, hindi equal
May
yung
premium.
matatanggap. Oo, para naman those, kasi ang magiging naman dyan, sasabihin ng iba, and we have heard this, kung pareho lang pala ang matatanggap ko dun sa hindi nagtrabaho sa COVID, bakit parang nalugi naman ako. May ganyan pong sentimiento, no? So we made sure that those who were exposed and had more time working in the COVID operations will get their due pay. But those who are not working in the non-COVID areas will also get some degree of compensation.
But Doc, given everything na pinag-usapan natin from the very start, no? I mean, the situation in your emergency room, itong issue ng SRAs, tumataas pa rin ang numbers. Kamusta naman po? I mean, how's the morale in PGH and in the health sector as far as you could appreciate it?
You know, the morale is high. No? We are actually better off because we feel like we are more equipped in terms of knowledge. Most of our frontliners, if not 90% of the frontliners of PGH are vaccinated. We know we've been there. We know how to handle this. It's usually the issue really is just physical exhaustion, no? Talagang mapapagod ka lang, no? And then you reboot and then back to work. Ano naman, no? Tuloy lang po, no? It's like we know it's a marathon, eh. Kaya walang room para panghinaan ng loob.
Po yung pediatric COVID cases niyo, puno pa rin ba yung ward? O tumataas o bumaba na ba?
Ang napansin po namin, mas tumataas yung bilang ng mga bata na may COVID na kailangang i-admit sa PGH. No? It's a reflection of the increase in the number of COVID patients in the community. So I don't think biglang disproportionately tumaas yung pediatric patients over the adults. No? It's proportionate, but since there are more kids now who are infected, then we're getting more calls for them to get admitted to PGH. The ones that we're really concerned about are not the healthy kids, because most of the time in general, these kids, usually they just have mild COVID. Parang may flu lang and a lot of them can be managed at home. The ones that we are concerned about are kids with underlying medical conditions. Just like sa adults, may comorbids ang tawag natin. So kids with congenital heart disease, lung disease, kidney disease, when they develop COVID pneumonias, alanganin, delikado sila. So these are our own patients. We have a lot of our chronic patients who will develop COVID. We will take them.
Okay. Last question na lang po, Doc. But are on the other side of this vaccination, are you seeing the impact of vaccination? Are you feeling it? Is that adding to the high morale as well?
Well, let's talk first of our healthcare workers. We do have breakthrough infections. You know, Delta is very transmissible, no?
Mga ilan po? Mga ilan?
Well, ang huling count, etong August na lang. Yung August po ay at least easily mga 100 healthcare workers na po ang nagka-COVID, no? Buti na lang po, they are mostly mild. A few are moderate, so they had to be admitted to PGH. But
breakthrough yan, breakthrough infection.
So meaning they are fully vaccinated already, right? So most of them are mild. A lot of them are being managed at home in their own residences, or minsan na quinarantine namin sa hotel. Very few get hospitalized and wala pong namamatay, walang critical, lahat po nakakauwi. Okay, so that's our fully vaccinated healthcare workers. And if you ask me anong vaccine, we have seen it across the board. Pwedeng AstraZeneca, pwedeng Sinovac, no? Pfizer. Now, on the other hand, if we look at the patients in PGH, 70% of the patients admitted to PGH are unvaccinated. So it can be a reflection of the the vaccination rate that is happening in the country, no? Kasi marami pa rin naman talaga unvaccinated. But if we look at the severe to critical patients, about 75% are unvaccinated. And if you look deeper into this severe to critically ill, 85% of the intubated patients are unvaccinated. Nobody from the vaccinated group has died na critical, and most of the deaths in the ICU are unvaccinated. So parang at least from there, it really is an evidence, at least real world evidence sa PGH, na if you are a vaccinated patient has a higher chance of survival, of recovery, even if they have severe disease, no? Because we have some na nagka-severe disease, they have some comorbid conditions. Pero the odds are against you if you're unvaccinated and you become severe or critically ill with COVID.
Okay. Hey, sorry, Doc. Ay, magsisingit na lang ako isa pa. Only because on the other side of this, parang nakakabahala rin yung yes, hindi lahat may access pa sa bakuna, and therefore there's a lot of mga theories kung ano yung mga alternative mo habang wala pa. I want to ask about Cebu. Let me just clarify. Doc Jonas, the spokesperson for PGH, but this is a question, technical, medical. Yung minamandate ngayon sa Cebu na personal air purifier, particularly for public utility drivers and conductors, may silbi po ba yun? I mean, does that help in any way? Or is that, again, just giving false sense of security for some people?
I have not reviewed any data on those personal air purifiers. We have not made it a standard recommendation. As far as I know, it's not part of yung meron kami yung we call it living guidelines ng PISMI, parang continuously looking for evidence. So wala po yan. So we don't, I mean ako at least personally, we don't recommend it here we just believe in the simple things like masking, wearing your mask, hand washing, physical distance. Then po sa PGH ngayon, mahigpit kami because of the Delta, and so we leveled up our mask, minimum of KN95. Ito yung mga healthcare workers, KN95, and if you are in a high-risk area, naka-N95 po.
At bakuna. If you can get the vaccine, get the vaccine. Maraming salamat po. Dr.
Sana po magpabakuna po tayo. Marami na, dumating na sila, mas marami. So hopefully, alam nyo po kung I wanted to alam po malaking tulong po in a way sa ospital, mga ospital po kung bakunado kayo, dahil that means kung magkasakit man kayo, hindi po masyadong malaki ang kailangang resources nyo sa ospital po, at nakakabawas po sa mga pangangailangan din ng ospital.
Okay. Maraming salamat po, Dr. Del Rosario of the Philippine General Hospital. Mabuhay po and stay safe. Please stay with us. The Chiefs will be right back. Welcome back to Chiefs here on One News. Now joining us, Cabinet Secretary and PDP-Laban Executive Vice President Carlo Nograles. Good evening, Secretary Nograles.
Magandang gabi,
Good evening,
Rocky,
sir.
Ani, Ed. Good evening po sa inyong lahat, sa lahat ng nakikinig at nanonood.
Opo, and it is the second hat that we are asking Mr. Nograles to wear for us tonight, particularly being an officer of the PDP-Laban. Sir, kasi parang siyempre kayo ang usap-usapan ngayon. There's a lot of things to clarify between the statements of PDP-Laban on the one hand and also of the President subsequently and then now his daughter. But let's start with this. But if we take it from the latest statements of President Duterte and Harry Roque himself confirmed this kanina, yung among all the scenarios, yung Duterte tandem, wala na talaga yon.
As far as President Duterte is concerned, sa statement niya, consistent naman siya. Para sa kanya, hindi maganda yung Duterte.
Okay.
Para sa kanya, oo.
Now, Sara Duterte, if you just take the statement at face value, and we'll get into that because people are interpreting that statement in at least two ways. But one, really, if you look at it without any cynicism, even without cynicism, it paints the PDP-Laban in a bad light, and it paints it as if there are people, including those pushing for a Go Duterte tandem, that are being manipulative and deceptive, and let's face it, she's basically saying even her own father is not being upfront with the public.
Ay, hindi ako maka-comment dyan, Robbie, no? And especially as far as the party is concerned, mahirap naman ako magsalita para sa partido. Kinakailangan siguro, kung meron man i-issue ang na statement ng party, we'll have to properly wait for the statement, the official statement of PDP-Laban. I also don't want to tie up my fellow members or even the officers of PDP-Laban to my own personal statement. So, pasensya na, but as soon as we issue a statement, you will be the first to know.
Pero Secretary, of course, malapit na yung filing ng certificates of candidacy. And siyempre, pinag-uusapan within the party, sino ba i-feel talaga natin, Presidente, Vice President? Pumapasok ba sa usapan ninyo si Sara Duterte as a potential candidate?
As it stands right now, no, at this very moment, yung aming national party officers namin at ang aming EXECOM, no, made up of the national officers ng PDP-Laban, yung latest resolution namin is endorsing President Duterte as our vice presidential candidate na aming inonominate sa September 8, no? At for president naman, as far as the national EXECOM is concerned, ang aming inonominate is si Senator Bongo for the presidential candidate ng PDP-Laban. Yun po yung gagawin namin sa national convention. Kaya nga po may national convention para we can already nominate the standard bearer, meaning say our presidential candidate, and we will run it by the members. We'll open the nomination. Someone will move for the nomination of Senator Bongo as presidential candidate. Somebody will move for President Duterte to be our vice presidential candidate. May magsa-second the motion, may magko-close, then we'll have a votation. So, yung proseso natin sa National Convention. Between now until then, ang latest na nangyari, which I am authorized to state, is yung sa pinalabas ko na statement. Na as far as President Duterte is concerned, in our meeting with him, he has accepted yung aming endorsement. So, ibig sabihin, for all intents and purposes, ang usapan is pagdating sa September 8 sa naming National Convention, kung may meron magno-nominate sa kanya, tatanggapin niya. Now, yung kay Senator Bong, from the time that we issued the resolution, which was August 4, up to today, so far, we have not received word yet from Senator Bongo if he is also accepting yung aming endorsement.
Pero does Sara Duterte ever come into the equation? Kasi yun ang sinasabi niya, two scenarios na yun ang sinasabi niya na prinisinta ng chairman niyo sa kanya na two scenarios, either she runs for president with Bongo, who is your member, as her vice president, or susuportahan niya the presidential bid of Bongo. Did that ever come up during your discussions, those two scenarios?
Well, in the mga meetings namin sa PDP-Laban, of course we look at all angles, di ba? As a party, kailangan tingnan mo anong gagawin ng partidong ito, anong gagawin ng ibang partido, no? So yes, we talk about that. But at the end of the day kasi, we talk about possibilities, no? Ayoko na rin banggitin. I mean, not exclusively just Mayor Inday, but we also talk about what about si ganyan, what about si ganyan, diba? What about this party, what about that party. I think that's normal for any political party. But as far as PDP-Laban is concerned and the National Execom is concerned, no, yung aming national officers, ang common naman dyan, hindi naman namin nakokontrol at hindi naman namin malalaman with certainty pati yung mga proseso ng ibang partido. We can only control and act on our internal goings on sa partido namin. So, September 8 has been scheduled as our national convention, no? And so what are we going to do sa September 8? Yun ang tanong, di ba? Magno-nominate kami from president, vice president down to the senatorial lineup. Kaya yun ang pinaghandaan namin. So yan yung konteksto kung bakit nagkaroon kami ng statement dahil nung in-update namin si Pangulong Duterte being our chairman nung Monday sa aming meeting sa kanya ay tinanggap naman po niya. Kasi nung nag-update kami, nasabi namin, kumusta ng preparasyon, ganito, ganyan yan, sir. And then we will nominate you as our vice president, shall candidate. And then he said, I will, okay, if that happens, then I will accept the nomination. So then we issued the statement.
Sir, don't you find it a bit unusual? I mean, doesn't the party find itself in an unusual situation where you're in effect trying to draft a party mate who publicly says he is not, he does not want to run for president, but you're trying to draft him anyway. While at the same time, another party mate who apparently is interested in the presidency, parang is being downgraded to a senatorial lineup.
Well, sa amin kasi sa mga National Execom, di ba? Siyempre, hindi lang naman ako ang nandyan, no? Nag-usap-usap kami. At ito yung naging desisyon ng National Execom na we will stick to having Senator Bongo as our presidential candidate na i-aming i-endorse, na aming inonominate, no? Pagdating sa September 8. So that's our kumbaga decision, and meaning to say yan ang inonominate ng mga officers. May isa sa amin sa national officers magno-nominate kay Senator Bongo. At the end of the day, ang proseso rin naman yan, Ed, is idadaan namin sa mga party mates namin. Hindi naman kami sa Execom ang magdedesisyon para sa lahat. Ang sinasabi lang namin, as far as Execom is concerned, isa sa amin magno-nominate kay yun naman po talaga ang proseso ng nomination. Just like, in any organization or association, di ba? Meron naman talagang nomination, and then kung wala nang ibang mag-close the nomination.
Yes, sir. But the other unusual situation that came about because of the statement released by Sara Duterte earlier today has to do with her allegations that the president gave her two options. Now, I know you cannot speak for Sara because she belongs to a different party, so I understand that. But I'd like to get your feedback, your reaction, and I suppose you talked about this among your party mates, to the idea, or to Sara's statement that the president gave her two choices. The second being that she take in Bongo as the vice presidential candidate. I mean, that's according to Sara, coming from the president. Doesn't that put you in a bit of an awkward situation where the person you're talking to run for VP is in fact eyeing another person, the presidential candidate, to take his place?
Alam mo, the statement was issued just very recently, no? So sa totoo lang, like I said, I cannot really comment on that, no? Number one, it being something na hindi kami privy to, no? And number two, as far as PDP-Laban is concerned also, I am just one of several officers and I cannot
Yes, sir.
really speak for PDP-Laban, the entire PDP-Laban, or not even the EXECOM. Wala akong authority to speak. So, and we have not, called like an EXECOM meeting to discuss this matter. Kaya limited lang ako sa maaari kong sabihin as far as PDP-Laban is concerned. Ano?
But sir, as far as Carlo Nograles, the executive vice, the executive vice of the party is concerned, can we get your insight on this?
The same Ed. Mahirap na ako magsalita kasi hindi naman ako privy sa nangyari na, I mean, anything that occurred, no, in that meeting. That's a meeting that I'm not involved in, not privy to. Wala talaga akong personal knowledge dyan. So mahirap na rin ako magsalita tungkol dyan.
But ito, Sec, it's no longer a matter of being privy because on a certain level, many people have already confirmed it. But I still like your take on it. I mean, how fair is it, the statement na even this scenario of a Go Duterte tandem has dependency on what Sara Duterte will do? I mean, on the one hand, their statement said that very, very clearly. Ano ba? Parang tigilan nyo na nga. Parang, kung tatakbo kayo. Sabihin nyo na lang. Huwag nyo na akong idamay pa and make me part of the rationale or part of the processing kung ano yung plano nyo. At the same time, like we said, even spokesperson Harry Roque confirmed na oo, actually, sinabi ng presidente kahapon, tatanggapin niya yung nomination, pero kung tatakbo si Sara, ay hindi na siya tatakbo. So, is that still a fair statement? That even this tandem, that na desidido kayo, that may dependency yan on the decision of Sara Duterte?
Actually, kung tutusin, Robbie, may dependency yan sa personal desisyon ng bawat kandidato. Ang partido is only limited to endorsing, to nominating, to pushing, to supporting. But at the end of the day, as with any and all candidates, it's really a personal choice. It's a personal matter. And may personal na pagdadaanan yan na reflection, kausapin ng iba, kinakausap ang pamilya, ang iba kinakausap yung mga kamag-anak, ang iba, di ba, may personal na pagdadaanan na desisyon. It's a very difficult decision to make. So kami as a party, as far as we're concerned, syempre we can only endorse and nominate. But at the end of the day, kanya nga po ito, nag-endorse kami na Duterte for President Duterte for Vice President, Senator Bongo for President. So far, si Pangulong Duterte lang ang umoo. Si Senator Bongo ay hindi pa umuoo. So, yan ang sitwasyon because really, it's really a personal choice. So far, ang stand namin dyan, let's give time for Senator Bongo to make the decision and reflect. And hopefully by September 8 ay magkakaroon na po ng decision si Senator Bong tungkol dyan. Again, it's a very personal matter and the party can only do so much.
Secretary, balikan ko lang yung sinabi niyo na you are open to having others nominated sa September 8. It's a nomination process. So meaning, kapag na-nominate ng kabilang faction si Senator Pacquiao as a presidential bet, pagbobotohan yan. But you are open to, the nomination is open to him. Kasi sinabi kanina ni Senator Coco Pimentel, na as far as their faction is concerned, ang gusto pa rin nilang standard bearer in 2022 is Senator Pacquiao.
Kailangan kasi, of course, they have to join yung aming mga events that are happening. No? Yung aming National Council, we extended the invitation to all party members. No? Walang exclusion yan, including Senator Manny, including Senator Coco. And na-announce naman yan sa media. At alam nila, no? Inamin naman nila, they made comments about it. So even before the council meeting happened, they knew about it happening. No? Then we had another National Council meeting again. It was open to their attendance. National Assembly, ganun din po. So certainly, pagdating dun sa aming convention, no? Well, we'll have to check anong status din po nila if they are actually voting members dun sa ating national convention. That I will leave to the committee on membership namin. But be that as it may, no? Ang maganda kasi dyan is dapat makipag-usap sila, which kami naman, we're always open, no, to continue dialogue and speaking with them at mag-upo tayo at pag-usapan natin ito, di ba? Kasi they still are naman members of PDP-Laban.
Pero hindi ba nasa COMELEC na yung ano niyo, yung dispute niyo over which faction is the legitimate PDP-Laban? It's there already, di ba? It's going to be pursued.
Ang alam ko, Ami, may sinabit kaming CUs, no? Statement of information, yung updated, no, statement. Di umano, nag-submit din daw ng CUs si I don't know if it was Senator Manny or Senator Coco submitted the CUs. I don't know what the current status of that right now is in COMELEC. I don't know if motu proprio on their own, they will look through I don't know the processes dyan sa COMELEC, no? Kung titingnan nila, magde-decision ba sila kung sino. So I'm not really aware of where that is right now. Basta as far as kami, as far as we're concerned, ay nagkaroon kami ng very transparent na National Council meetings, National Assembly, yung elections namin, covered ng media, covered ng tri-media, Facebook, social media, very transparent. At yung mga bumoto doon sa National Assembly natin ay puro mga based on the Constitution ng PDP-Laban ay mga qualified to vote in the National Assembly. So very transparent, and I hope, no? And I'm very confident that COMELEC will see it our way also na kami yung bona fide. Kasi ano naman based sa Constitution, babalikan lang naman ng COMELEC yung anumang nakapaloob dyan sa Constitution ng PDP-Laban.
Okay, Secretary Nograles, pag-usapan na po natin yung mga your preferred bets, specifically Senator Bongo. Other than the promise and your proposition of continuity under Bongo, just talking about the man as himself and his own credentials, why Bongo for president? What makes him the best person for the job?
He's the most hardworking person that I know. I've seen him firsthand. Simula nung nasa Davao pa hanggang sa Malacanang, hanggang sa pagka-senator niya. Very hardworking. Wala kang masabi sa kasipagan niya. Wala kang rin masabi sa malasakit niya para sa bayan. Wala kang masabi sa lahat ng kailangan niyang puntahan, lahat ng pwedeng tulungan ay tinutulungan niya. Maliban siyempre sa kanyang track record sa Senado at maging track record niya in all of the jobs or the work and the workload that's given to him, no? So sa pinakamaliit na bagay hanggang sa pinakamalaki na responsibilidad ay nagagawa naman niya. So mataas ang aming kumpiyansa na under Senator Bongo, kung mapagbigyan at mabigyan ng pagkakataon, the country will be in good hands under his leadership, no? Because he's
Pero sir, yes sir. Pero sir, has the senator ever had a leadership position? Because he would be the commander-in-chief and the leader of the cabinet, the leader of the executive, and so on down the line. Would the President Duterte in effect be the one leading? Because that's the situation right now. si Pangulong Duterte pa rin naman yung Senator Bongo is there even in the laging handa, pero it's still the president who calls the shots, of course. And even when he was mayor. Pero what about in the future in case the two of them win? What will be the dynamics involved?
Si Senator Bongo or whoever will be president, alam mo si Pangulong Duterte, naman yan no? He will obviously, he knows he's a lawyer, alam naman po niya. And in case it's Senator Bongo who sits as the president, of course, he will be the one steering the ship, so to speak. Siya yung magiging leader dyan. Siya, siya ang mamumuno, siya yung pangulo, di ba? At alam ng lahat 'yan. And including the president, he will let he will respect, no, that is the position given, and that was the position and the mandate given. So ganun po yun. Now si Senator Bongo is a senator now, no? So sa leadership capabilities as a senator, hindi basta-basta maging senator, at chairman ng committee ng health, where it's just the most important committee right now, no? And he's steering that very well. And then of course, in his capacity serving alongside the president, marami rin mga responsibilities na nabigay sa kanya ng Pangulo, in many capacities and many responsibilities, at na binibigyan ng free rein in many of those responsibilities si Senator Bongo, and he is not disappointed so far, and the fact that he's still there.
Pero yung mga statement ni Senator Bongo nare-reinforce actually yung belief ng tao na it will be the president who will be running the country in case of a Bongo Duterte win. Kasi kapareho ngayong araw ang sinabi ni Senator Bongo, I will do whatever the Dutertes decide that I should do dahil I owe them a lot, I owe everything, that where I am now, I owe it to them. Ganon yung impression ng mga tao. You think that's optics-wise lang, messaging. You think that's a good idea na ganon yung sinasabi kung talagang siya nga yung i-field din, no?
Well, what it is on face value is honesty, no? Walang tinatago. That's really just frankly speaking, honestly speaking, and truthfully speaking, yan talagang saloobin ni Senator Bongo. At totoo rin naman, no, pag kausapin namin si Senator Bongo, and kahit sa media, kahit sa mga nag-interview sa kanya, he's always been consistent in that stand, no? Sabi niya, last na ako, hindi na ako, huli na lang ako, talagang, and yung, like I said, yung pagdedesisyon mo kung tatakbo ka ba o hindi, mangangandidato ka ba o hindi, is really a personal decision that you have to make, no? And honestly, ang sinasabi lang ni Senator Bongo, in considering his decision whether or not to go for it, malaking factor talaga ang Duterte, and specifically si President Rodi Duterte, si Mayor Sara Duterte, malaking factor talaga yan sa decision-making process na gagawin niya as far as running for president is concerned, as far as that candidacy is concerned. Sabi ko nga, you have to go through a personal process, no? At marami kang factors. You talk to your family, you talk to whoever. But for Senator Bongo, honestly speaking, he's saying na malaking factor talaga yung pamilyang Duterte, specifically si Mayor Sara at si Pangulong Rodi. Now, what about if he becomes president? Diba? That's the question. I believe, doon naman, pag nabigyan na ng mandato yan, number one, I believe na si Pangulong Duterte and Mayor Sara Duterte will respect the mandate given by the people to Senator Bongo if he becomes president. Ganyan yan Lawyers, they're both lawyers, no? Si Mayor Sara is a lawyer, si President Rodi is a lawyer. As lawyers, we know the Constitution, the law, the mandate, and what that entails really, no? The democratic process. As lawyers, we know that discipline kami dyan, at naiintindihan namin yan.
Kabsek, I'll just take yung one example that you cited. Sabi nyo nga, even sa Senate naman, pwede siya magpakita ng leadership, and you're saying he has. But precisely on that question, in the past weeks, that was one question that people were asking of Senator Bongo as chairman of the Senate Committee on Health. We've had the COA auditing the DOH. We've had a crisis. We're in the middle of a crisis between PhilHealth and the hospitals and so on. And in all of these things, people are looking for leadership, and people really are saying, well, leadership is coming from many different sectors, many different areas, but it's not coming from Senator Bongo.
Oh, that's not true. Because even in if you cite that specific example of PhilHealth, no, Senator Bongo is doing everything that he can to help, no, in his capacity as chairman of the Committee on Health, help in that regard yung pag-ayos nitong mga di pagkakaintindihan or mga kailangan gawin between PhilHealth and the private hospitals, no? If it's not publicized enough or hindi nakikita enough, no, it doesn't mean that he isn't meeting with the people, talking to the right people, talking to the president of PhilHealth and the officers of PhilHealth to fix these issues and concerns, no? And in fact, he already said that. He gave a statement regarding that is something also that in his capacity as chairman of the Committee on Health, he's also fixing and finding a solution to.
Oh, isa na lang. I know what the answer will be, pero tatanungin ko na rin. You actually think Senator Bongo is more winnable than Senator Manny Pacquiao?
Number one, that's for the people to decide. But if the party, if you're talking about PDP-Laban, and you're talking about us in the national execom, and though kami na magno-nominate kay Senator Bongo, and I think maybe I should also speak for the party. No, if Senator Bongo wins the nomination, if Senator Bongo accepts the nomination, if Senator Bongo indeed becomes our official candidate for president ng PDP-Laban, the whole party will rally behind him and we will exert all efforts to make him win. And not just against candidate X or candidate Y, against all candidates. We will certainly do everything to make sure that the people know why they should vote for Senator Bongo for president. That people will come to believe the reasons and have trust, confidence in him, so much so that pagdating ng halalan, mananalo si Senator Bongo as president. The party will rally behind that. The party will rally behind the candidates of PDP-Laban.
Sir, pahabol lang sir. Kayo po, akala ko tatakbo kayo sa pagka-senador, kaya kayo may TikTok among candidates. Are you in the list that's being prepared by PDP-Laban?
No, I'm not. Sa 5 names na pinalabas natin, obviously, I'm not one of the names.
Yeah, not there.
I'm not one of the names listed there. At sa totoo lang, Ed, pag senator ng pinag-uusapan, tumatayo ako at umalis ako ng kwarto, pumunta ako ng CR, o tinatakpan ko yung tenga ko.
Baka VP.
I don't. Hindi ako masyado nag-i-involve pag senatorial lineup ng pinag-uusapan sa PDP. Hinahayaan ko na lang yan sila.
So are you running? You're not running at all?
You know what? Like I said, hinahayaan ko na lang yan sila. Ayokong nang...
No, I mean for other positions.
No. Like I said, it's the party. It's a party process, and I just give it to the party to make the proper process, to run the proper process.
Maghintay na lang kami ng September 8.
Yeah, kung manominate tayo, hindi. Diba?
Okay. Cabinet Secretary and PDP-Laban Executive Vice President Carlo Nograles. Sir, maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat din po.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. God bless. Stay safe. Ingat po lahat.
Stay safe po. And that's all for this special edition of The Chiefs. We hope it was discussed here. We'll keep the conversation going. Before we go, a reminder to our viewers, mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
I'm
I'm Ed Lingao, and we are One News.